not being disadvantaged, having an edge in life, being able to sit on the table to negotiate, being able to contribute, being able to do and be more. It's not about being superior to your husband or becoming the head of the home. No, but actually having meaning in your life and also making impact. So not just you, your husband, your kids, the world, even God will be proud of you, because practically everything is driven by technology. So we kept trying to push this, but you throw opportunities to them and they will not even take it. You know, whether free opportunities or what, you get them free opportunities, they won't finish the course, and we start focusing on intellect. So we started with the Get Leverage webinar last month. We had the first one with Mr. Gabriel Ademo, who is a senior communications analyst with the United Nations. And I brought him because I realized a whole lot of young people were quite passionate about working with NGOs. I want to work with NGOs. I want to start my own NGO. I want to do my outreach. I want to do this. I want to do that. And he's somebody that has worked with nonprofits over the years and sorry, has really grown from when he was young till now. And I felt, okay, no, this person needs to, I'm like, can you just come tell my people what it's like? And I'm sorry, the realistic things they should expect or that they will see or that they should have if they want to get leverage through the development space. And he was with us. It was fantastic. The replays on our I'm sorry, the replays on our YouTube channel, so you should check it out. And here we are with the second edition. We don't just have one speaker, we have three, and I'm super excited about it. Please, 1 minute. I'm sorry, I was having cough. So we're going to get straight right into it. So this webinar, we're actually trying to open your eyes and your minds to possibilities that you can be and do as women. And we have three amazing people with us. Mrs. Tabitha Abimiku, my special friend, and one value adder. Like, she's so much a value adder to my life and to everyone she meets. She's an amazing person. She's a microbiologist, an entrepreneur. She's also active. She's also very active in promoting the knowledge and kind of the knowledge about menstrual hygiene and helping more girls be in school. That's basically what a whole lot of what she's about, but she's more of a social entrepreneur. She's so much. And beyond all of these things, she has so many things. I don't want to come and start reading book for you because these are people that I know individually and that have impacted my life in no small way. So I don't want to come and start reading notes for you. I'm telling you from my heart. She's an amazing person, and among all of it, I see her as someone that, if you want to talk of smashing limiting beliefs, what is in your head, you somebody that will just do it anyway. She's one person that is a plug, and I'm so excited that she'll be speaking with us tonight. She's a multiple award winner of so many in business, entrepreneurship, as an individual, and all of that. We also have the amazing Miss Salamati Ibrahim, my hype woman. She's really amazing, and anytime I get to speak to her, she's always seeing things in a different light. She's just like, how is somebody thinking like this? You know, I love her so much because whenever we start a conversation, we don't even know when 1-2 hours are gone. She's so much light, she's fire, and you bring a gloomy situation to her, she just brings out light from one place like that you're not even thinking about. So I actually brought her because we're in a season where a lot of people are lamenting, even with the death of Chadwick and all. Everybody is complaining, 2020 this, 2020 that. But really, there are some of us that 2020, we can't just stop thanking God, you know? And it's just, I don't know, I think it's the way you look at it, or the way we look at it, and the people you surround yourself with, and the kind of information that you have, or whatever, I don't know. So I decided to bring the chief executive officer of seeing things in another light. And when I mean another light, the positive light. And then if you watch AIT a whole lot, she's one of the anchors of Kakaki. And of course, you will know that she's always giving another perspective. there on that show. So she's going to be speaking tonight. And then we have my Oga, Mr. Moshebi. He's my Oga, he's not my friend, he's actually my Oga. And it's a privilege and an honor to actually have him with us here tonight. I was so excited. I made a random post and he really commented and was throwing light into what I was saying. And I was sharing on how passionate that was for me and how people do not understand the power of value and value system with who you surround yourself with, who you're becoming, and how far you can go and the kind of limit your values can place on you. And I'm like, sir, please, can you just come speak to my people about this? And it was a yes. So it's a privilege to really have this amazing people. There's a speaker, he's a global person, and they're just all amazing. So they're going to be speaking tonight. I've already spoken too much. I'm not a speaker, I'm just a moderator. So I'm just going to be here looking out for your questions, and they're going to be real and personal, and they're going to answer whatever questions at all you might have. So our first speaker for today is Mr. Bita Bibiku, and she's going to be speaking to us about smashing limiting beliefs to actually gain leverage. So can we make welcome Mr. Bita?
Hi everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. But we
Okay,
can't see.
I'm so sorry for joining you guys late. You know, technology is something that you can't really predict. So I've been having, issues with my network. So I have to change like several networks. But thank God I'm here. So I really want to apologize for starting late. So I will all welcome to this unique opportunity. And I do not take this opportunity for granted, as she has already introduced me. My name is Tabitha Areson Abiniku, and I'm the founder and the CEO of Virtuous Reusable Sanitary Pad. But today, I'm not speaking about my business, but I'm going to.
I'm sure you can hear me now.
Okay. Yes.
All right. Great. Yeah, sorry, the camera here may be darker, but I guess it's still going to serve the purpose. So yes, so Excellence, I think we can go ahead, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. Thanks everyone for being patient with us, and thanks for the privilege to share tonight. Amazing stuff, Excellence, you've been doing. I want to congratulate you. You are an amazing woman. I've listened to your story. I've also read it in particular. You had to make me read it because I was missing out some great details in the briefing that you had to share with the world. And thanks for staying strong. Thanks for staying strong. I don't know how many of these women here, how many of these ladies here have heard your story. I think you should be ready to share more and more and more again, so that as many who need to be liberated, who need to be set free, would actually experience that. So great to be here. My name is Ola Omoshebi. I wear many caps. I do quite a number of things, but in simple terms, I'm a management and development consultant. So I provide training services, capacity development, strategy, report development, and quite a number of other things, project management, youth development, and so on and so forth. So I'm glad to share tonight on what is very passionate to me. So let me go to a particular slide I think you should see right away. Okay, let's see if this can come on. Right. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I'm sure you can see my screen, right?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I want you to quickly reflect on, there's the first slide I want you to reflect on. All right, good, we're there. So I want you to reflect on this slide, everyone. At this point, I hope, since it's not too large a house, I hope we can get feedbacks. But just think about it for one moment. What do you see? What do you see? I shared this with Excellence a few days ago, and we laughed over it. So what do you see, people? What do you see? I hope it's clear enough.
Yes.
I hope the visual is good enough.
You can use the chat
What
box
do you
to
see?
comment what you see. No, we can see it. I'm telling the
Yes. So,
participants.
okay, great. So please don't use your mics just yet. And if you want to use the chat box, go ahead. But I want you to reflect on it. What do you see? And then we move on. Because I'm speaking on value. And then we'll try to, maybe later on, we'll come back. This picture comes up later on. When I was putting the slides together, I thought I was going to put 4 slides together. And it ended up being like 12 slides. But don't worry, I'm going to talk through them. The slides are not even the issue. It's just for us to have something to visualize as I share. So I'm speaking on value. Value systems, how value helps you to create that position of leverage. So what is value? Value has several meanings to several people, to different people. Everyone seems to describe and define value differently in their own different ways. Right. And quite a number of things inform what defines value for everyone, for anyone, as it were. For example, some people would think of value from the perspective of culture, and they will repeatedly tell you this is what we value in our culture. This is our practice. Take, for example, the part of the country where I am from. It is so key to some people, especially custodians of the culture, who see it important to transmit it to the next generation and to the next generation. You don't have a younger guy, someone like myself, in your 40s, and then you are speaking to somebody in his 50s or in his 60s, and then you just stand straight, especially the first contact. You don't stand straight to talk to that man. It is expected that you would take a bow. I mean, at the worst, you take a bow while speaking to him. But importantly, expect that when you have that first contact, you go all flat to greet him, to regard him, to respect him. But you know, interestingly, it's even further, I don't want to use the word bad, it's further deeper than that for quite a number of folks. I've seen instances where, for those who understand Yoruba, we interpret, and they say, you know, meaning that he's your elder, he is older than you with 1 year. So you should call him brother, or you call him auntie. Now, for those people, that's one of the things they attach value to: culture of respect and regard. They expect you to say certain things, to act in certain ways for you to be able to show that you uphold their value and you are part of that value system. So what is value? In simple terms, value means usefulness. But if you want to take a rider on it, relevance. Again, there are quite a number of other pointers that can lead to what value means for each and every one of us. But always think about usefulness, think about relevance. And when you talk about these two, you have to think about, when you talk about relevance, you have to talk about the purpose. So something may be, in quotes, may be valuable, may be useful. But then, is it serving the purpose you wanted to serve at the moment? Is it timely in serving that purpose? So yes, I asked for water 1 hour ago. Water is valuable for me at that point in time. But you did not give me water at that time. Maybe I got to take something else. Or maybe I got to chill, to take a chill under the air conditioner. And so I'm not even pressed for water anymore. Maybe if you bring water to me now, it is going to even irritate my system because it is not what I need now. So yes, it is useful, but is it relevant? Meaning that, is it going to serve the purpose I need it to serve because there's a lag of 20 minutes? Is it timely? Because once it's not timely, then it may no longer be valuable. So water is valuable in the general sense, but if it's not going to serve the purpose, if it's not coming at the right time, it loses its value. So think about these two: usefulness, relevance, along the lines of purpose. Purpose is another subject entirely that I've had opportunity to talk on over and over and over again, teach people and talk to people on fulfilling their purpose. But purpose of things now, because as you know, in case you do not know, once the purpose of a thing is unknown, what? Abuse becomes inevitable. The great Miles Monroe said so. And that holds true. So purpose of that thing, timeliness of the application of that thing. Now take a look again at this. It shows a picture of value reducing, even though there's still value there. It's just for us to be able to visualize how value also plays up to us at different times, just like what I described earlier on. The value of that water, of that cup of water I requested for, definitely would reduce with time if something else has taken over the space of that need. The space of that need. Every time we talk about value, also think about supply, think about demand, think about quantity, about quality. I take that again. I'm not sure. I saw something like your internet is not stable. So in case you did not hear me, when we talk about value, think about, I didn't put that in any slide, so you probably want to pen that down. Think about demand. Because if there's no demand for that particular, value you're bringing it to the table, then it's almost useless. Think about the demand. Think about the supply, because when the demand is there, are you providing that value? So demand, supply, the quantity of value that is required, and then in what quality? Because again, quality will tell whether it is something that the person demanding is just making do with for the moment while it lasts, or it is actually something that would stand the test of time. So for example, you work in, give me one skills that women do. Okay, you are a tailor. You are good in what you do. But then you stay in Maraba. Your client is in Wusetu. And your client, the only reason he calls you to come over to work for him or for her is because of your stitches, because of what you do it well. So she doesn't mind that you come all the way from Maraba to get the job done. But the question now arises, should somebody else who is able to do those stitches exactly well the way you do them stay somewhere close to her? Maybe Wuse Zone 6, which is a stone throw from Wuse 2. Now, what has happened to you? Your value has likely dropped. Your value becomes questionable in the mind of that client, because the client is now asking questions, especially if it's somebody who has timeliness as key component of the value she wants to derive from you, which at that point in time initially may not be very apparent. That timeless may not be an issue. It's just what it is. But the moment they are competing factors, then in the mind of the demand, the market, he or she starts thinking of, okay, why is this better than that? So this one in zone 6, the one in Maraba, they're doing exactly the same thing. So, but this one in zone 6, I can even drive there myself. Do I want to drive to Maraba? No. Do I want to drive to zone 6? Yes, I can drive to zone 6 on my way to zone 5 and just stop over and see what they're doing. The value begins to change because of certain factors that have come to play. One of them is the fact that there are competing factors. All right, let me move because of time. Life doesn't reward you for your gifts, but for your values and usefulness. Think about it. I picked this from a friend who also anchored a values session some weeks back. Life doesn't reward you for your gifts. In case you are stuck with, I'm gifted, I'm talented, oh, I have these skills. Oh, come on. Life doesn't reward you for your gifts. Life rewards you for your value and your usefulness. What is the usefulness you're serving? How useful are you? Let's move on. Now, of course, when we talk about value, and I know this is applicable to every one of us, now we're speaking to ladies, to girls, to women. Of course, you remember, in case you've not encountered this, now you know, relationships, usually look at relationships from these 5 dimensions: family, faith, friend, finance, which means business and career and all of that, and of course, foe, which you can't run away from, about the fact that we have enemies. But there are foes for reasons, for diverse reasons. Some foes are there because they got certain misunderstandings with us. Some are there because they were told things that were not true about us, and so on and so forth. Some are there irrespective of what truth or what they know about us. They just hate you for hating you sake, you know. So what values you carry, what values you communicate, what values you make a culture of will also determine how you play along these lines of your relationships. The very first one, you know, there's nothing you can do about that. Family is family. But then as you grow, you start redefining based on your values who in your family becomes attached to you, becomes detached to you, and so on and so forth. Now, that's another talk entirely by itself, that you even can determine who your family is, apparently, at the end of the day. Yes, I've seen it happen over and over again. So family now gets redefined as you grow, not by blood ties, but by values that are brought on the table. And then you get to put everyone in their various positions, as it were. Faith equally. Faith defines several things that we do. Oh, this is what I believe. This is how I believe God. This is how I believe God in the way that I believe. There are details and details that people come up with based on their faith. Again, your value system is influenced by this, and your value system influences this as well. Same with friends. Now, this is a bulk that many of us would like to talk about. Show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are. Who are your friends? Your values, the values that you, I'll get to that slide shortly. The values that you carry, the values that you communicate, the values that you make a culture of will determine the kinds of friends you attract to yourself, will equally determine what your friends do to you, because they also get to influence you in your value system. So, who are your friends? What values define you that make you attractive to those particular set of friends? Whether it is friends that will eventually turn to romantic friends, or they're just there, platonic, or for whatever reason. The values you carry will eventually determine who become your friends, who stay in that ring of your friends. What about your finance, business, and career, and what you do to make ends meet? Your value system was also, for instance, there are people who would never for their life work in a brewery. It's not because they are drinking. They won't just because it's a brewery, they won't work there. Some, I've seen people who say they can't work in banks that charge interests. I mean, that is what it means to them. That's the kind of value they hold as a result of their faith. They say, I can't, because these things are all interwoven, they're all interrelated, interconnected, apparently. And then, of course, now let's skip that because of my time. I think I'm supposed to have 20 minutes. Excellence, are we doing good with time? All right, so let's look at building your own value system. All right, I think I have building your own value system. All right, I have 10 minutes more. Building your own value system. Number one, value conceptualization. I just want to talk about, I've tried to reduce quite a number of steps into 5. Because go back again, what is value? Usefulness, relevance, along the lines of purpose, timeliness, and quite a number of other decimals, but I don't just want to go into details. I want to make it as simple as possible. Value conceptualization, number 1. Number 2, all right, why is my system? All right, good. So value conceptualization, there are quite a number of steps in between, but I don't want to bring in too many things. The next is value creation. I'm going to ask a question after this set of slides. The next is value creation. Number 3, value communication. Now, I'm going to talk through them. I just want to run through value communication. So many of us have values conceptualized. We have also created certain values around us, in us, that we carry, but we don't communicate it. It's not clear enough to those who are around us, those who are in our circle of influence. Number 4, value capture. So you conceptualize value, you create value, you communicate value. Number 4, you capture value. Number 5, value culture. If you're able to go through all the steps, and you do it as life goes on, as a way of intentionality and deliberateness, eventually you'll make a culture of value systems that you uphold. Each of those values around your finance, around your relationships, around your family, around all that you do, eventually become a culture. It cannot become a culture until you are deliberate about it, until you are intentional about it, and it becomes clearly communicated. It becomes what you carry, it becomes what you practice. Then it becomes a culture. It becomes a culture so much so that you can even pass it down to friends, to children, to spouse, and so on and so forth. There are things that my wife never knew about me until, of course, we started relating. There are things I never knew about her until we started relating, and then we started fusing those together to say, okay, fine, this is what you like, this is what I like, and then we have to respect those and become one, as it were. So value. But let me give you example. Let me drift a bit into business environment. Value creation is what the telecoms do, is what they did when they stepped in by coming up with those SIM cards, which is global anyway. SIM cards, you now have SIM cards, you now have phones. You can have your SIM card in your phone. You can make calls, you can send text messages. And because the value came highly rewarded, as it were, to users, people were willing to pay anything. We bought our first set of lines for, was it 25,000 naira? And then the cheapest phone was for 15,000 naira or 25,000, depending on your location. You spend about 50 to 60,000 naira for a starter pack. The days of Econet and then MTN also came in, 60,000 naira thereabout. Now, what they did with that pack, with that starter pack, was to create value. But guess what? In the process, they communicated what you'll be getting out of it. And in that communication, it brought you back to the place where they eventually captured value. How did they capture value? You have to consistently come back. Value is created by providing you with a SIM card, but value is captured by you coming back to refuel. I use that word, to recharge, to resubscribe, to renew your airtime. You have to continue. You can't just get the line, get the phone, and walk away and it's over. No, they keep getting you to come back, to recharge, to recharge, to recharge. That is value capture. That's an example of value capture. Let me give you another example. The Xerox you buy, the HP printer. So you buy it. Oh, it's a 3-in-1. That's value. That's value creation. It can print, it can photocopy, it can what? It can scan, and so on and so forth. You are happy you got it, and then you start using it. Where is the value capture? It's in the fact that once your ink runs out, you are going to buy another one. You have to keep buying another one. And if you don't buy the original, you're in trouble. So they did not only create the value, they also gave reasons to capture the value. All right, let me move because of time. So this is it in summary. So I'm going to ask a question now, quickly. Which do you think is most pivotal, most important, most crucial? You can put your answers in the chat box. Which of these? Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. But this is the second one. So let's deal first with the picture. We'll go back to the picture. We'll come back to this. I'm already rounding off, so we'll just do those 2 exercises to round off. Anything that stops getting better stops getting useful. Anything that stops getting better stops getting useful. In other words, it loses value. It loses value. There was the time we would go under the umbrella to make phone calls and spend 30 naira, not 30,000, 30 naira to make a 1-minute call. And that was so good. But that particular service was not going to improve any better other than delivering the service directly to the hands of the users. So for those guys there, if that's all they're still doing, they've lost their usefulness, as it were. Anything that stops getting better stops getting useful. So when you think of value, you have to also think of improvements. There have to be improvements. It cannot be the same way as all time at all times. Excuse me, let me get some people offended briefly. That is why you see that some guys, after having sex, first time, second time, third time, it's over. Why? Because everything about that lady was just about the sex. That's all. And it ends there. So they start getting, it's over. I mean, they may not communicate this verbally, but you can see in their body language and all that, because there's nothing else coming on the table. And that's why I'd like to appeal to my friends, please, I know, yeah, I may be touching on soft spots. Please, if all you bring to the table is that, then you know that very soon you smell the coffee, it's all over. If that's all you bring to the table, sex, after some time, I mean, yeah, except you're going to tell me that the sex is going to keep changing, it's going to keep getting better. I don't know about that. But honestly, yours, anything that stops getting better stops getting useful. And once it is useless, then it doesn't have value. The only value it will serve will be when nothing else is available. Then the available becomes desirable. Amazingly shocking. So now, back to that picture. So let's deal with this picture, then we'll go back to that question, because I'm done. I'm sure I'm already being signaled that my time is up. What do you make of this picture? Do we go to the text chat box, or do we have the privilege of people? Excellence, please advise us. Should people react by way of verbal communication, or we go to the chat box? We can't hear you. We can't hear you. You're mute.
Okay. I heard we could do the both, since we have a sizable class.
Yes, a sizable class.
You can unmute if you want to say something. What do you see?
All right, so I see, okay, no. Sherifat is reacting to the second question. I want us to clear the first question. Sherifat will come back to the second question. Let's clear this. What do you see in this picture? I think it's more descriptive, so somebody would probably want to talk to it than write. So who would bell the cat?
Hello.
Who is belling the cat? Okay, Sherifat, go ahead.
Hello,
please.
I'm Sharifa.
Okay.
Yeah, nice
Yes,
to meet you.
I'm seeing a candle. I'm seeing a candle lit. A girl. Hope I'm right.
So
Are
the
you with
candle
me?
is the girl?
Yeah, right here.
Yes, the candle is lit. Then the guy is carrying a lamp that is not existing because there is no light. Then the other guy sitting is not communicating at all. He has already blocked himself away from the light.
So say that again. You said somebody is
That's
carrying
all.
something that is not existing.
Yes.
Say that
Yeah,
again.
that guy sitting down has blocked himself. Okay, the guy on the bike has no light, so to me, it's not existing. It's not existing.
Okay, what about the guy on the bike?
It's not it's not putting any value. It's not putting any value to anything.
Okay, what about the guy on the bike?
That's what I'm saying, that the guy on the bike has no light to show anybody. He's not communicating. He's not creating anything.
Okay, now what about the guy on the
To
bench?
me, the guy on the bench has already closed himself. He has already blocked himself from the lights and every other communication.
Okay, great. Let's hang that there.
What I'm saying, the guy on the bike is practically a what do you call it now? What's this now?
Fire
Fire extinguisher. Is a fire extinguisher, and the lighter, the lady, she's being cozy towards him, and then the guy sitting on the bench is a lighter. He's carrying a matches.
All right, great. Sherifa, did you hear that? Look at the picture again. What you actually have is that the guy sitting.
Yes, I can see it. Yes, I've seen the fire extinguisher. It's true.
Excellent. So the guy on the bike is a fire extinguisher. The guy sitting down there is actually a matchbox. It's a box of matchsticks. And then of course, the candle is lit right in the middle of both of them. But of course, as you can see, she's tilting. She's by her posture, you know how girls do and all that. She's what's the language? Excellence, help me. She's falling in love with this guy. She's falling in love with this fire extinguisher guy. In fact, I titled this "Fire Loving Firefighter." How can fire be loving firefighter? When fire is loving firefighter, it means that there's a misplaced value. There's a misplaced value. You cannot go ahead into a relationship with somebody who is going to kill your passion, who is going to kill your fire, who is going to kill the gifts that you carry, who is going to kill your values. That is what is happening here. But I like what you said, Sherifat, that the guy sitting on the bench over there is also not bringing any value to the table. Now, that's the guy that really has what it takes to continue to make this girl glow, because he's the one that has the matchsticks. He's the one that's got fire. But it is potential fire sitting down. That guy on the bench is just a potential. He's not in action. Now, this other guy who is not supposed to have anything to do with fire, with this girl who is on fire, is the one that is ready to go. If the girl joins him on that bike, that is the end of her fire. And that's the story of many of us. Many of us are entered into wrong relationships, whether business relationship, whether love relationship, whether friendship. We deceive ourselves. We lie to ourselves. We are not telling ourselves the truth. You should be able to look around you, wake up like we say, and smell the coffee and ask whether this person I'm going into this relationship with, this guy I'm entering into this business with, are we on the same wavelength in terms of values? Are we on the same path in terms of values? Are we going in the same direction in terms of values? There are people who you should just be able to tell by way of their communication and say, look, we are not heading the same direction. Because many people have not been able to profile themselves well. And that's why I would like to advise you strongly. Maybe through excellence, I'll get to communicate this when we get to talk about we did one class last week on looking at your personality, identifying your personality, knowing who you are. Are you a choleric? Are you a sanguine? Are you a phlegmatic? Are you a melancholic? And then we have other models that we use. We have the DISC model and so many other models that we use for you to identify who you are so that you will not go into the wrong relationship. Because once you identify who you are, then you can create your own value. You can conceptualize your own value, create your own value, communicate your value. And then, of course, you capture your value, and then you make a culture of your values. You have a culture of values that people know you for. They know this is your standard, this is your stand, this is how you go. Now, let's go back to that other question because of my time. I would have loved to say more and more and more about, or is any other person talking to us on this? If nobody is talking to us, we go back to that. And so we end with this. I said, which do you consider to be the most important? And Sherifat responded earlier on. I'm reading a response. She said, communication and capture are more important. Why don't you choose one? Sherifat, just choose one. All right. So who else is talking to us? Which do you consider the most important of this? Now, that does not mean others are not important, but the most important. Which do you consider most important? Okay, Sherifat is saying communication. Interesting. Any other person talking to us? Sorry, Safia. Safia is one. Safia Mohammed said communication, not Sherifat this time around. Safia Mohammed. Any other person talking to us? Which do you consider okay? Sherifat is now saying it is capture. Adaizel says is what? Communication. Okay, animation says animations with excellence says it is culture. All right, so I guess we can work with what we have seen so far. We have communication, we have capture, we have queen number 3 and 5. That's fine. Okay, so let me say this, and this is my own opinion, and I can justify it, I can defend it. I think the most important, which is where actually we have most issues, is conceptualization. Value conceptualization, that is where the issues really are at. You see, the moment you are able to define clearly and idealize what it is that means value to you, the rest of the steps would flow. Until you conceptualize, until you define, until you identify, until you idealize what value means to you. Because you see, one of the definitions of values is that value is what a group of people uphold as ideal and as their own principle. But you see, the higher level of defining value is that value is actually what you make of it. Not just what, yes, you still have to think about how it impacts people positively. You are not doing anything negative to the society and all that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you. It zeroes down to you as a person. What is your own value? What do you pride yourself as loving in life? What makes meaning to you? What makes meaning to you may not make meaning to somebody else. What makes meaning to somebody else may not make meaning to you. So the major job, the key job, is at the level number one, which is conceptualization. And many people have got, and you see, that's why I used that example earlier on. I've talked to girls that the reason when you ask them, so why did you give in to sex? I enjoyed it. No. So apart from enjoying it, why did you give in to sex? And then they're like, well, it was not like him again. He was going to cut off from me. Oh, so you gave into it because of him, not because of you. You see. So until we define, identify, conceptualize what value means, the rest of the steps are just going to be all over the place. You see, like we say in management, problem definition is very key. If you don't define the problem well, then you won't provide solutions correctly to the problem. So it's very similar. Same with research. In research, if your tool for measurement, the tool you want to take to the field to collect your data is faulty, your answers will be faulty, the outcome will be faulty. So it's always about that foundation. I'm sure you can relate with me. If your tool is faulty, you take it to the field, the outcomes of your field work is going to be faulty. You will not get the correct outcome. All right, so I think my time is done. I'm seeing flashes here. I hope I'm seeing correctly. All right, so I know some people may want to disagree, but I'm saying this practically from the place of information and experience, and I mean, permit me to say from the place of as an authority too. Conceptualization, that is the major. Yes, you need to implement. So all of this creation, communication, capture, culture goes along the lines of execution. But what happens at the conceptualization level is the major determinant. So what I'm saying in essence that many people have not even conceptualized what their value means. They just want to jump into creating value, communicating value, because they copied it from somebody else. It is not their own values. So it's borrowed. Oh, I like the way my friend does what she does. So, and then subconsciously, unconsciously, you are mirroring her. You are learning what she's doing, the way she dresses, the way she does what she does, because she gets a lot of attention. When she goes out, everybody wants to be her friend. So why don't I do what she's doing to get the kind of attention she's getting? Whereas you don't know yourself well enough whether you're not supposed to attract attention to yourself. If you're a phlegmatic person, you don't need attention. Phlegs like to observe from a distance. They like to sit in their own cool, calm, collected corner and be able to achieve results from that distance. Anyway, we'll talk about that some other time if the time permits. I think I need to stop at this point, and I hope when the questions come, we'll be able to address them. So thank you for listening, and I'm still very much around. God bless.
Wow. This was an amazing session. Who else enjoyed it? I absolutely did. Can we share a little like our takeaway in the comment section? What was your takeaway? What was one thing that actually stood out for you from this? My own was anything that stops getting better, stops getting useful. I was moderating a group sometime in April, when the COVID-19 became so apparent that, hey, things are never going to return the same again. And the person that was in charge of that community, she wrote me, she said, ask them, what are you going to do with your business? Because it's either you innovate or you die. So what are you going to pivot? Are you going to do something else? And we saw a whole lot of people, some were into fashion, they changed to start selling food, getting food from the village. We saw a lot of people pivoting. In fact, Ambitions Excellence also pivoted to women and focusing on technology services and business. So I understand the aspect. It was so striking to me. Anything that stops getting better, stops getting useful. Wow. So you have to keep learning. You have to keep getting better. So can we share again, what was your takeaway? What was one thing you took that stood out for you? Let's quickly do that while Ms. Salamatu Ibrahim is warming up. She's our next speaker. Thank you, Mr. Moshebi. It was, wow, what an amazing session. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Really, really appreciate it. So can we share in the comment section? Sharifat, quite an amazing session. Yes, it was. It was. It was an amazing session. And I get the part of the last part Mr. Moshebi talked about, the conceptualizing of vision. I think it's true. You have to really know what it is to you. What are your values? What really, what I was asking someone 2 days ago, I said, what's your deal breaker? Like what's it for you? What's like, this is like that's so cool. Okay, Sharifa, define your value and stick to it. I hope you guys know there's a giveaway after this session. So the 3 most interactive participants, when I mean interactive, like very, very interactive, very obvious, are going to get some quite amazing prizes. So if you like, talk, or if you like, don't talk, it's fine. So next we're having Miss Salamatu Ibrahim. So she's going to be speaking with us about the other perspective. Mrs. Tabitha is still trying to get through her network, but she will join us. I'm praying seriously that the network gets better because she has so much to actually share with us that she has really prepared for today. So let's have Ms. Salamatu begin to shake all the tables further from where Mr. Moshebi stopped.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Excellence. And thank you, wonderful, beautiful, powerful, strong women that decided to join us today on today's seminar. It's quite amazing. And I'd like to say thank you, thank you, thank you, Excellence, for putting together. I mean, you're just simply amazing. You said a lot about me and how we met, and you know, the things that you glean from our interaction. I'm really, really honored, really, to hear that, Excellence. You are also doing an amazing job bringing women together, not just bringing them together, empowering them with life skills. I mean, that is the most important that can happen to any human being. But having said that, I'd like to also welcome the amazing women. I don't think we have any man except Mr. Shoaib in our midst. I'm not sure we have any man, but I want to welcome all the wonderful women to this session. But I'll start by asking us to say the following affirmation, just to set the energy for this session. And that will be, if you can just type in the comment section, the chat session, I am strong, I am energetic, I am powerful, and then I am different and unique, and I accept myself exactly as I am. Let's start with that. Now, there's a purpose for this affirmation, and the purpose being that a lot of times, I find out that people recoil into their shell, and it's no fault of theirs, really. It's because of the, programming, societal programming as to how you should view life, how your outlook on life should be, especially on women. There are a lot of limitations that women are compelled to face because of the cultural orientation that we all were born into, the consciousness that we're all giving, the consciousness that society, brought upon us. So most times women kind of, just withdraw into their shells, waiting for either validation from their family, which is beautiful, their husband, awesome, their boyfriends, their fiancés, their bosses at work, but they fail to look inwards, to tap into that inner strength that they truly really have, that makes them indeed powerful. Hence the affirmation I asked that we start with. You're very powerful. Now, the COVID-19 actually threw up new vistas in such a manner that, businesses began to struggle, and then people began to lose hope about the future. So I'd ask, what was your response to the COVID-19? How did you respond to the COVID-19? Did you fall amongst those who said, oh, the COVID-19 has come and has disrupted every plan that I had for 2020. Now I am so helpless. I can't do anything. I don't seem to get help from anywhere. The government palliatives is not coming. Yes, the government palliative was really, really controversial. It was, it had a lot of controversy around it. But then a lot of people lost hope at that moment. Were you among those that lost hope? Did you feel that your plans had been disrupted along the line, and so you would not be able to achieve all those bountiful plans that you had for the year? If you were one of those that had that particular mindset, I am here to tell you that you could actually achieve whatever you actually strive to achieve. Whatever your plans are, you can actually achieve them. Mr. Shoaib spoke about the value system, and he ended by talking about conceptualization, which is the most important of it all. Because what we think, or how we think, actually gives us the kind of outcome that we eventually get to see. If, for instance, you believe that the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted your business, then indeed, all of those things that you plan to achieve will be disrupted. You will not have the kind of headway that you actually wanted to have. So you have to begin to look at how to shift your thoughts, shift it in such a manner that you become positive in everything that you strive to achieve. There are three things really that a lot of people fail to realize, three things that are vital to your growth and development. But I will start by asking these questions before I tell you what those three things really are. Where do you fall back to when things get tough? When things become really, really tough, where do you fall back to? Where do you turn when you get stuck in a situation? Where exactly do you turn? Who do you lean on when you need support? What's your support system? Now, I'd like you to just take a few minutes to reflect on some of the questions that I have posed and honestly answer them, honestly answer them, because I do know that you may lie to everyone else, you may lie to your loved ones, you may lie to your colleagues at work, but the one person you cannot lie to is yourself. So where do you fall back when things get tough? Where do you turn when you get stuck? Who do you lean on when you need support? So do you sometimes wonder why you start a new routine or a new business, or you try to get into a relationship and it doesn't just work out? And then you're wondering, I have tried all the things under the sun. I have burnt all the candles in this world to say prayers to direct me. I have done everything possible, but nothing seems to be working. In fact, things have only gotten tougher, especially during this COVID-19 period. Now, if I may quickly ask, if it's not too much to ask, for us to use the chat box to answer some of these questions that I just asked. I told you earlier that I'll make this session as interactive as I possibly can. So where do you fall back to when things really get tough? I'd like to hear from you wonderful women. Where do you fall back to? Excellent. Do we have responses coming in? So where do you fall back? I'd like to hear from you guys. Where do you fall back to when things get tough? And who do you lean on when you actually need support? Okay. Okay, I think I'm seeing some responses here. Do we have some responses?
Let's see. Chesa said, basically, I guess my family.
Okay.
Family. Sometimes my bed, sometimes the floor to pray.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yes. God first.
Okay. Okay, interesting responses. Thank you so much for your responses. Yes, family. Yes, you want to fall back to family. You want to, just sometimes hold on to your pillow and then probably cry on the pillow because you feel that is the only place you can get solace. And sometimes, yes, you go on your prayer mat or you go on your knees, as the case may be, depending on the faith you profess, and you pray to God. Yes, these are very ready responses that comes to mind. But let me shock you. There are actually 3 vital areas that if one is able to focus on, that responds to these questions. If you're able to focus on these 3 areas, I wish I could give us perhaps, what's it called? An assignment, but I'll do that. But unfortunately, I can't give you that assignment because this is just a few hours interaction. But if you're able to get these 3 things right, you would have answered all those questions that I asked. And what are these 3 things? They actually include consistency. So what do you fall back on when things get tough? You fall back on being consistent. And then you may ask, consistent on what exactly? You fall back to being consistent. Then the second question is, where do you turn when you get stuck? You turn to a mentor. Do you have a mentor? Do you have a coach? Do you have someone in your life that you're sure will give you the needed advice, the needed direction whenever you get stuck? And who do you lean on when you need support? Do you have a community? Do you have a community that you fall back on to say, I need support for this thing. I have this brilliant idea. I have tried this, I have tried that, I have tried everything, and nothing seems to be working. And within that community, you find the solution. So essentially, yes, while it is good to fall back on family when you need support, it is also important to know that family members also have things that they are dealing with. They also have exigencies. They also have needs that they need to meet up with. They also have commitments. Yes, you can fall back to family, but you must first look inwards to find that inner strength. That inner strength that makes you unique, that inner strength that just keeps you going, that inner strength that keeps you motivated. Such that every time you conceive a new idea, you know that you need to be consistent in that idea, in building that idea, you also need to have a mentor or a coach who can put you through that idea. And thirdly, you also need a community that can help you sustain whatever idea that you have gotten. I hope it makes sense. I like to find out if this is actually making sense to the women on this seminar. Is it making any, are you getting any sense from what I have said? That as much as you would like to pray to God, you like to meet family, you would like to perhaps just stay on your own sometimes, that you need to be consistent as an individual. You also need to have someone who can give you direction, and you have to belong to a community. Now, these are the three vital things that you need, you know. Now, having said this, let me also talk about this idea that I talked, that a lot of people seem to sometimes battle with. If you have an idea, you want to be consistent with that idea, you want to have a coach, you want to belong to a community, then you begin to ask, but this idea you're talking about, Salamatu, how do I even conceive it in the first place? How do I even get that idea you're talking about? Yes, I hope that we're able to get Tabitha back so that she can put us through, because that her session is very, very important. In fact, I wish she didn't have network challenges, because her session would have really set the tone for this conversation, so that whatever information you get in this session will sink deep. You understand why you should take every idea seriously and why you should work it. Right. So you begin to wonder, how do I get this idea? A lot of people have ideas. I would have probably started my session by asking us to introduce ourselves so that I know the category of people that I'm conversing with. I know the kind of professionals we have in this group. I know the kind of people with, I know the kind of skill sets, you know, people have on this group, such that it will give me some level of direction as to the kind of messaging to pass across. So really, this life is an interesting, in fact, the world is an interesting place. The society is an interesting place to be in. But as much as it is interesting, with a lot of exciting events and its nuances, its excitements and all of that, there are also events that seem to limit a lot of people. All we talk about is potential. Now, let me take us back to what Mr. Shoebi said, just to buttress what I'm about to say. The illustration he showed about the man on the bike with the fire extinguisher, and then the other man who was sitting just by the side with the matchbox, and then this beautiful lady with a light that she's raring to go. She has perhaps a lot of plans for her life. She has it all visualized. Like all she's seeing is, all she can see is herself in, you know, fulfilling her purpose, really. And then this man comes along with a fire extinguisher. Extinguishing what now? Her fire? No, not at all. Like she rather go with the man with the matches, with the matchbox, who consistently show her the path. Talking about the coach, finding the coach, someone to lead the way. Right? Now, she wants someone who consistently leads that fire for her. So she would rather go with that man who would consistently encourage her to be able to achieve her dreams, encourage her to be more, than go with the one who will just stand by to extinguish, you know, the fire that she has burning inside of her. So basically, in life, there are limitations, no doubt, but we can actually surmount these limitations. And this is because life exists in duality. Like I would always want to say, like I would always Excellence and I would always talk about. Life is in duality. So what do I mean by this? It means that it's either you have good or bad situations, you have negative or positive, you have light, you have darkness, just as in the case of the man with the matchbox and the fire extinguisher, the one with the fire extinguisher. So you have these two parallels. So which do you want to follow? Is it the light, the positive, the good, or the negative, the darkness, or the, the bad? Which path do you want to follow? So by the time you are able to define essentially which path you want to follow, then it will be easy for you to be able to set out your goals, your plans, your ideas, and then you can now define the kind of community you want to belong to and how you want to belong to that community. So as women, really, we should not operate in silos. Sometimes, yes, operate in silos, but there should be a connector, something that connects everyone. If, for instance, you want to start a business, Animations with Excellence has been doing a great job. I've seen it. I've interfaced with her to know very well that she has imparted on a number of lives with what she's doing. It's no mean feat. So if you want to achieve something, you have to go out there. You have to constantly remain positive. Be sure that whatever it is that you strive to achieve, you're going to achieve it. After all, we all tried to, tried one thing or the other at some point and failed at it, and we didn't get discouraged. We kept on doing it, and at the end of the day, we succeeded. I mean, Excellence is a typical example. We all know her story. I'm sure by now she has shared her story online. For some of you who have been following her, you know where she's coming from. You know what her story is. We all have unique stories. We all have unique stories. All of us. And so sometimes we can derive our strength from that story that we all have, that innate experience that we all have. We all have experiences that are actually unique to us. What is that experience that is unique to you? What are you learning from that experience? Did you allow your experience to diminish your plans or diminish your dreams or kill your dreams? What exactly did you learn from that experience? And if you're still going through that experience and not sure exactly what direction to take, I'd advise that you seek. And that brings me to my next point of seeking. Now, we are all living beings, obviously. Most importantly, we're all spiritual beings. And for every human to move from one point to the other, you need to seek. So the question is, what are you seeking? And how are you seeking it? Can you write that in the chat box? What are you seeking? What am I seeking? Write in it, what am I seeking? And how am I seeking it? What am I seeking and how am I seeking it? Very, very important, extremely important. Important to the extent that if you're able to answer this question, then you're on the path to greatness. I must confess that I only discovered this recently, that there is power in seeking. If you do not understand that, I'd like to tell you that there's actually a technique to this. There's a technique to seeking. And that is why today we have professionals. There are professionals who can actually take you through this path, who can actually help you to discover yourself, discover your purpose, and to help you to know how to seek. I'm not that professional, so I'm not about to tell you how to seek it, but I'm here to tell you that there are techniques to these things, and these things actually work. Excellence, I'm sure you would attest to this. There are techniques to self-discovery, and there are also techniques to seeking. Now, I said earlier that we're all spiritual beings. So when you sit on your praying mat, for instance, or when you go on your knees, what exactly do you ask for? Are you intentional? Are you deliberate? Or do you just go and worship and you don't even know what you're saying, but you, as far as you're concerned, you have actually done the routine. It has become a routine for you to just pray to God. But what are you seeking? How are you seeking it? What are you listening to? How positive, how optimistic are you that when you seek, you actually get? How optimistic are you that when you ask, you actually get it? Like I said earlier, there's a technique to this. I'm not about to tell you how it works, but I just want to bring to your consciousness that there's a need for you to begin to seek self-awareness, because it is the absence and the lack of self-awareness that makes a lot of women become undecided as to what they want to do, how they want to do it. In fact, some women really do not feel that they have a path. They feel that their life begins and ends with what the society says. It begins and ends with certain dogmas. But I want to tell you today that you have the power to seek your innate abilities, to seek and find your purpose, to know that you have the power to discover yourself, self-discovery. And one question I'd like to ask you is, what is more important than your career, your business, and your job? What is more important than your job, your career, as the case may be, your business? Any answers? What is more important than your career, your job, your business? If you're doing business, your business mogul, what's more important to you? Any response? What's more important than your business, your career, what exactly is more important? Oh, spirituality. Okay, beautiful. Extremely important. While that is important, I like to say it actually, my response really to that question will be purpose. Purpose and clarity. These two things are very important. And you can only find them if you seek. If you seek, you find these things. You find what your purpose is. You find exactly how to get clarity on your purpose. So I find purpose very important. Purpose is more important to me than career, than job, than whatever it is you're doing. Why is it more important? It is more important because there are many women out there who find themselves doing jobs that they're not happy doing. They're not happy about. They're not happy being in that office. They're not happy being, being in the bank. They're not happy being, lawyers. They're not happy being accountants. They're not happy. They're not just happy. As much as there are others who are seeking to become professionals, they want to become accountants, they want to become lawyers, etc., etc. There are also women out there who are not happy doing what they're doing. And that is because they've not been able to find what their purpose really is. So one important element of existence is purpose. So once you're able to find your purpose on one hand and find clarity on the other hand, then I can assure you that you're on the path to success. So purpose is extremely important, you know, in our existence. That is why I said earlier that it is, as much as it is important to find, to get, to be consistent, it's important to find a coach, someone who can guide you, and to find a community. I'd add right now that it is important to find purpose. It is important to seek, and it is important to find out how to seek and to know what exactly you're seeking for. And it's in knowing exactly what you're seeking for that you're able to find purpose. And in finding purpose, you're really virtually on the path to greatness. And while you're finding that purpose, I assure you that you will begin to find people, circumstances, situations that will just align with you to be able to help you to be able to achieve your desired goals. So essentially, while it is important for all of us women and for you out there to seek, it is important also for you to find a community. Do you have a community? Do you have a support system? Do you have ideas that you're burning to burst? Do you have, a life coach, somebody who would put you through? What are you seeking? How are you seeking it? These are the questions that I have lined up today, and I'm glad that it has been really interactive. I have found a lot of, solace in knowing that there are women that out there who really want to find purpose, who really want to move from where they are right now to where they actually want to be. I actually know a couple of women who have moved from point A to the next level, to another level, and they are seeking to even, spiral all of their achievements to greater heights. And of course, one of those women is Excellence. Excellence is doing really, 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 in fact, she's doing amazingly great in what she's doing. And I'd like to say a very big thank you to Excellence once again for putting this together, and congratulate also the women who signed up to be on this particular session. Mr. Shoebi seems to be the only man in our midst. I hope that we did not dislodge him in any way, and he aligns with some of the things that I have said, especially as it concerns finding purpose and community. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Excellence. Thank you, Sher.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I thought she always brings the extra slice to it, something different. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. Wow, this was good. Sophia says she loves your dress.
Thank you, Sophia, very much. Thank you.
So I really found this really interesting. Who else did? What was your takeaway? What was your biggest takeaway from this? Can we just share quickly? What was your biggest takeaway from this? For me, having a community is very important. Very, very, very important. Having someone or some people somewhere that you share similar values that can just, just a safe place. We're all human beings, and solitude is not a good one. So I really took that really serious. So can you just share quickly, chat box, what was your biggest takeaway? One thing, two things. Thank you so much, Ma. Sherifat is also telling you thank you. From the chat, they're all saying thank you. So can we share our biggest takeaway? Then while Mr. Bita gets warmed up for us, so I'm going to turn off everyone's video. Her network is still somehow, so we don't have to overburden her network.
I think so. I would like to congratulate Salamatu Ibrahim for that super presentation. That was so on point, and I guess everyone felt the way I felt too. But just to add one or two things to help our participants, our colleagues. She spoke on purpose, that we need to find that purpose. I'd like to, this is just, I'm not promoting myself, but just to help those who will be interested. I've done quite some work relating to purpose, discovering your purpose and fulfilling your purpose. I have a series for those who would like to watch. You can go to my YouTube channel. I have a series from March the 6th, that's this year, March the 6th, all the way to May 30th. So I'm going to type it in if I get my hands free later on. From March 6th to 30th of May, you will see a series on purpose. Each edition is less than 5 minutes. I don't think there's any that is even up to 5 minutes. So you can watch. It's a formula I've used for years to guide people on discovering their purpose and pursuing their purpose. So for our listeners, for participants, if it will do you any good, please go to my YouTube channel. It is Ola Omoshibi. I'll try and type it in later. From March the 6th till May 30th, you will see the series I did on purpose. There are quite a number of other series there too on my YouTube channel. Now, you'll find this also on my other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and the rest. But where you'll find them in order, where they are not interrupted by other talks, politics, this and that, happy birthday to somebody, whatever, where you'll find them in the flow of sequence is on my YouTube channel, where I don't really have so many interactions as I would love to, but you'll see them there in that sequence, March the 6th to May 30th. So that series is on purpose. Yes, and the second thing I'd like to add, again, thanks to Salamatu, she brought that out. Anthony Robbins, I picked from Anthony Robbins. He said, you can get what you want by asking. Just ask. And for that asking, it's contained in his book, Unlimited Power. For that asking, he mentioned about 5 things. He said number 1, so Salamatu mentioned seeking. You need to seek, right? So, which is also as synonymous to asking in this context. Said number 1, ask specifically. Learn to ask specifically. Many of us, okay, for example, you ask me, I need money. What does that mean? It means nothing. You need to be very specific. I need 20,000 naira. Don't ask me. But you get my point. So I need 20,000. I need 50,000 naira. For instance, I'm going to ask Salamatu, I need 100,000 naira after this session. All right. So you need to ask specifically. Number 2, you need to ask specifically from the person who has it. Always be very clear to go to those who have what you're looking for. Number 3, ask, and this is very important, this is related to what I shared. Ask first, creating value for that person. So when you go to ask the person who has it, learn to create value for them too. Why should they give it to you? What purpose, what benefit will it serve them if they are to also part away with what you're asking them to do? If it's a favor, if it's a service, if it's a material thing, what benefit will it serve them? So ask them while creating value for them. For example, I want to go to an uncle to ask him to give me money to start business. If I'm able to say, for example, to him that when I set up that business, these other nephews and cousins who also come to ask you for money, I'm going to invite them to join me in that business. Maybe that will make value to him and say, oh, that's true. It will help me get these guys off my back. So ask that person, creating value for them first. Then number 4, ask with congruent faith. Ask with congruent faith. In other words, when you go asking, ask with belief. Let your system come alive. Be sure about what you are asking for. Let it be clear that this person believes also that he's going to get it. And then the last one is ask until you get it. So this is a formula that Anthony Robbins recommended in his book Unlimited Power, and you even see it in a couple of his other works. But I've seen it that as simple as it looks, if you really put it to use, you'll be amazed at your results. Ask specifically from the person who has it. Ask first, creating value for them. And then ask with congruent faith and ask until you get it. So that's my two pence for now. Let me go off. I hope our speaker is back.
Okay, so discussed with her, we've agreed that she'll have to pre-record and then we'll share with participants so they can watch on YouTube. Her network is really, really, really messy tonight. So thank you so much, sir, for that. We really appreciate you. So we're quickly going to take questions now. If you have any questions for any of the speaker, clarifications or comment, kindly drop them now in the chat box. They're ready to answer you. You have 5 minutes to drop your questions, but while you're dropping your questions, I'll just share a few things. Purpose is very important, and I used to say something that when you carry a compelling vision, when you have a compelling vision, you don't need coffee to stay awake. You will be naturally drawn to some certain things. You'll be naturally drawn to some certain people and all of that. And once you're able to, the first step, I thank God that Mr. Salamato was able to bring that out. The first step is actually identifying your purpose. Because if you don't know your purpose, you may set a value system that is way off what you need, that is really not you, which will not be sustainable, which will not drive you, which you cannot actually, which will actually crash you. So the first thing is you find your purpose. When you find your purpose, for example, it's not the same engine oil that is put in all different kinds of generators. So if you know this is a generator, and so this is the oil that should work for it. So when you know your purpose, you're able to understand what your values should be that should help you to achieve your purpose. And to be honest, by the time you find your purpose, there are some values that ordinarily, without your purpose, you will think it's okay to follow through. But when you find your purpose, you realize that if I work with this value, I'm going to crash. I won't go far. For example, for many years, I loved convenience, and convenience is my thing, and it was one of my topmost values. But you know, with time, life so shrinked me that I knew that I needed to grow. And if I needed to grow, growth and convenience cannot be meshed together. So convenience had to drop for me to actually have a value of growth up there. So there are some values that, and then of course, I love what Mr. Moshebi said. He said that over time, as you grow and as your assignment evolves, your values too might change. And as women, most times we get asked the question, can a woman have it all? Can I have it all? And I smile and I'm like, yes, you can, but maybe not at the same time. So at certain points in your life, some things might be important. There might be times where the balance, when they say you need balance, the balance does not mean it has to be 50-50. So you give your children 50, you give your work 50, your family 50. It doesn't have to be like that. At a certain season of your life, your balance might mean giving family 70% and work 30%. At another season, your balance might be the other way around, or whatever way you share it. What is most important is that you're becoming a better version of yourself, you're working hard, and all of those things. How can you check if you're doing that without having your value system? Your value system is like a metric for you by the side to align if you're actually on the right path most times. So I think it's really good. And I'm sorry, when you've discovered your purpose, you've aligned, you've identified, you've conceptualized your values, and then you know how to communicate it. The next thing is you need a community to reinforce, to help you. Oh, I'm going to share this concept that I've shared with a few people close to me. The fire, and it was something that ministered to me so much at a certain time that the Holy Spirit was telling me. I know we have mixed people of mixed faith here, but let me share this. You're going to really be, it's really going to impact you. And he said, don't be an overconfident fire. You know, you're a fire and you think that girl now, she thinks she's a fire. So if I go to that man, I will burn him. He would, whatever is that potential, he will find it. It will come to him. You know, he would, you know, that kind of stuff. And the thing is, he said that there are some things that can put out fire. Water might not put out fire because it contains oxygen, but there's something called dynamite. You throw it into the fire. The thing is, it doesn't quench the fire immediately. The intensity of the fire begins to diminish. It begins to diminish. It begins to diminish, and then it dies off. The funny thing about the fire is that when it begins to diminish, the fire does not know it's diminishing. Because you're mixing up with the wrong people, your community is wrong, your atmosphere is affected. If you're not careful, you begin to compromise bit by bit. your values begin to change and not evolving because you're evolving to a better person, but it begins to evolve negatively, that because you're trying to adjust and accommodate those people, believing you can change them or be them or whatever. And before you know it, you turn back and you look at yourself in the mirror like it was for me, and I didn't know who I was anymore. So those are things you have to. So I'm so excited about this session, and I could go on and on and on. I've even past 5 minutes. Please, let's take the questions. Sharifa says, thank you, Mr. Moshebi, for the tips on asking. Very important. Okay, Sophia said, how do I find a community? I think that's for you, Ms. Salamatu. How do I find a community? And Missions with Excellence, I'll say something first. We're trying to build a community beyond work for women, but it's not yet into friction now. Something free, but a hub. When we say free is relative. Those that know me know I don't take things, I don't do free like that. But there'll be value, but it might not be monetary. But there has to be some form of commitment where women can constantly grow, be energized, become more, where you can actually unwind and unburden visually, and stuff like that, irrespective of whether you're a mom or not, you're single or whatever, but where you can recharge and refuel. So that is one. But beyond that, or before that comes, and Salamatu, how can we identify the right community to actually belong to? Because of course, you should not be everywhere. It's not just any community you see, you just, it's women who I'll just go and join. You're muted. Please, can you unmute so that we can hear you?
Yeah, very interesting question, Safia, you asked there. But before I answer that question, I'd like to ask you, what do you do? What do you do? What job do you do? Are you into business, or are you employed? What do you do? Has she responded?
Not yet.
I'd like to know what Safia does. Now, it's important I know what she does so that it's, I find out if she's actually happy doing what she's doing. Now, if she is happy doing what she's doing, beautiful. Otherwise, if she's not happy doing what she's doing, I'd ask her if she's been able to find her purpose.
She said she's into digital business.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. So Admission with Excellence is one business that I know has a very strong community, very, very strong community. So if you haven't reached out to Admission with Excellence, I urge you to do that right away, because there's the Admission with Excellence is building a very vibrant community of social media entrepreneurs. So it's a place you'd like to be, you would want to be, and you will not regret being there. But having said that, you know what Mr. Shoaib said about finding a purpose, it's very, very important, because you can't be jumping from one community to the other, to the other, to the other, without first defining, getting clarity as to what exactly you want to do with your life. So besides the social media, aspect that you already are into, there are so many other things that you may just have the potential, but you are yet to discover what it is. Now, until you're able to discover those other aspects of you, then the community begins to open up to you. It's just a natural phenomenon. It's not something somebody can actually tell you, this is how it happens. But the moment you are able to find that purpose that you are actually created to fulfill, the events around you just begins to work in your favor. You begin to meet people who have the same desire, meet people who want to achieve the same things as you, and then you begin to, merge ideas, merge, innovations and all of that. So it's not something that I would sit down here and say, you know what, this is how to join the community. Until you find a purpose, then you'd begin to find people who can help you, people whom you share the same ideas with, and then you find yourself in the community that you so desire. I hope I have been able to really answer this question, Sophia.
Yeah, thank you. Aside that, in the course of the week, while I'm sending you the link to the replay, I'll put in a guideline that will help you to identify communities you should join. As funny as it is, I saw it on my journal one day, and you know, some of these things you don't even know you study them and then you forget about them. There are some communities that are really cool, and people ask, why are you not there? Why are you no longer there? And I'm like, for this season of my life, that's not what I want to do. I have some things. Like, for example, at the beginning of this year, last year, I got so many grants. I was traveling everywhere. But from the beginning, I think till July, I think it was June, that was the first time I applied for a grant this year. I didn't want to. I was helping others if I could, but that wasn't my goal. That wasn't my focus at that time of my life. So I said, no, I didn't want to. So people are like, no, there's no sentiment to it. It's just not my thing. And if I'm there, I'm going to be distracted. So it's not just what I wanted at that time. So
excellent. If I may add to this, sorry to interject you there.
Yeah.
I just taking away from what you just said, let me add to what I said earlier. You know, life is in stages.
Yeah.
You first identify that and know that you don't want to be stagnated by any circumstance or events around you. You want to grow. It's all about growth and development. So at every point in time, you find yourself in a particular community, you're looking to improving yourself so that you can join another community that can improve you. And if you don't find purpose within that community, it's okay to exit. It's okay. As much as I am a stickler for finding purpose and clarity, I also advise that each time you find yourself in a community and you suddenly realize that you don't belong to that community because you're not getting the value that you signed up for, please do not hesitate. Don't be apologetic. Move on, because it has to do with you. Your life is all about you, because until you overflow, you cannot impart on another person's life. So what I'm saying essentially is find purpose, very, very important. Maybe in the process of finding your purpose, you find yourself in communities, in a community that you feel that it's not serving you. Please move. Don't be apologetic. When it's time to move, move. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, let me also add to that.
Okay.
Let me also add to that. It's absolutely, I told somebody just earlier today that there are moments of your life that you need to be selfish. And those moments are when it has to do with discovering yourself, your personality, your purpose. You cannot compromise that. It's fine to be selfish, because apparently and eventually you cannot love anybody without loving yourself first. So before you can even love anybody else, share love to somebody, tell somebody I love you, you need to know how to love your own self. Many people don't, they have not appreciated themselves enough. They don't celebrate their own selves enough. They don't understand themselves enough. So you need to love yourself well. Love yourself sufficiently by understanding who you are, your personality, your purpose, and with that you can now love somebody else well. So yes, this is just expanding it to what Excellence has said, to what Salamatu has said, that if the community is not serving you, please move. You've tried to adapt, you've tried to look at what works for you there, and you can't find any value. It goes back to the question of value. You can't find any value in that community, please move. Just like Excellence said, I have several things people have tried to drag me into just because they heard about me or they hear I do this. At times they want me to come and do a training on something that is totally not my line. At times I get to do it for the money and they're happy. Oh, you are amazing. But I say to them, but this is not really me. Let me stick to my path, you know. And so I've even had to be recovering myself from certain parts. Years ago, I had to be recovering myself because I was everywhere. You are doing this, you are doing that, you are doing, and everybody wants a piece of you. You have to know when to say no. Aha, that's another thing. The power to say no. Learn how to use it. It's amazing. When you know how to say no, oh, you'll be amazed the results you'll be getting, because what it means is that you'll be cutting off from so many things that ought not to be in your path. And then you'll be able to focus more on things that are in your path, in your purpose. And when I say no, you also need to learn to say no to yourself.
Yes.
On certain things, indulgences, things you love to do, things you are, the comfort zone, like Excellence said. There are so many comfort zones some of us find ourselves. Learn to say no to yourself too. And just say, hey, Ola, get up. No to that sleep. No to that direction. No to that visit. Okay, what's the essence of that visit? You are going into that place. What value am I going to get out of it? So learn to say no to yourself, to others. It can be a very powerful and empowering tool. All right, let me stop there.
Thank you very much. We have to wrap this up. We spent a whole lot of time. So thank you for signing up. Everybody that signed up, I'm going to put you in a community, not a community, but I'm going to, I don't want to call it a community, a special mailing list where I would, as frequently as possible, send you resources that can help you grow. For example, from your questions, I've been able to identify that I'm going to send you a guide to finding the right community or choosing the right community to be part of. It's either I put it in a note. If it's too long, I'll create a podcast for you. There's also one book. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you in the mail. If you're interested, you join the community. I just found the book recently. A client just sent it to me. We're working on it. But I had to go through the book, and oh my God, the name of the book is Boundaries. I didn't even know we're going to have to do this today, dealing with boundaries, how to say no and when to say no. And I almost could not drop the book. It's less than 300 pages, but it is amazing. I've been reading the soft copy and I said tomorrow I must buy the hard copy. So we could do a review on it and then you see what it is. But if you don't want to be part of the review, that's one resource you should have. I'll try to include the PDF into the mail, but you can also purchase one if you want the hard copy. Very amazing resource, my God. And it actually borders on all areas of life. Don't look at religion or anything. It is so real. It is so good. And then there's also something I'm going to send to you on self-sabotage, because I realize that many people are just sabotaging themselves by themselves, you know, in most of this stuff from what we've seen. So I'm actually going to send some resources on those things, and I'll just try to be consistent with that. So look out for Getting Leverage newsletter. Take it away from your promotions folder and put it in your main folder so that you know when it comes in and you don't get to miss it. Our next Getting Leverage webinar will be next month, and I hope we're going to have a very amazing time. Mr. Moshebi has dropped his YouTube link to find out about purpose in the chat box. Kindly identify that. I'm also going to copy you in the mails so you could actually check it out. The video will be on YouTube tomorrow or next. My network has also been an issue, but hopefully it goes on there. So it's been an exciting time, and I wish we don't have to end. Oh my God, it's it's over 2 hours already. It's been a whole lot of learning and enlightenment. My note is practically full. I've been writing a whole lot and I've been getting a lot of insight. I hope every other person feels the same, not just me. And then if you have anonymous questions, you can write me. Ms. Salamatu Ibrahim is official Sally on Instagram and Salamatu Ibrahim on Facebook. So you can always reach out to her. Mr. Moshebi is also his name on Facebook and Instagram, and Tabitha the same too. And they are very reachable. Tabitha has one-on-one sessions on smashing limiting beliefs. And I beg you, look out for that video on YouTube and watch it. And you're asking for if you need clarification or you need someone that can push you. She's really one force to reckon with. So you can actually have a session with her. And trust me, she's amazing and very relatable, especially in areas that are connected to that. Then Mr. Moshebi, very relatable, they're very accessible people. They're very wonderful people, and they really want everyone to grow. So I think they're people that you can reach out to anytime and anywhere. Thank you for staying through to the end. I'm going to go through the comments and see the 3 most engaging comments, and they're going to get recharge cards data from Animations with Excellence tomorrow. So thank you for contributing. Thank you for coming on board. Ask any further questions you want to ask. We're all here for you. You can send me a mail or WhatsApp or anything. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Salamatu. Thank you, Mr. Moshebi. Thank you, Ms. Tabitha. I'm so sorry for all the stress. How many hours trying to get on board? Thank you so much. So have an amazing night rest, everyone. Good night.
Good night.